Hello, and welcome to the Daily Space for today, Wednesday, August 12th, 2020. I am your host, Annie Wilson. Most Mondays through Fridays, our team will be here putting science into your brain. Usually, Wednesdays are for Rocket Roundup, and it's been a quiet week. Let's get to it, shall we? First up, on August 6th at 4 a.m. UTC, China launched a Long March to Delta from Chen Satellite Center. On board were two satellites, Gaofen 904 and Tsinghua Science Satellite. Gaofen is an optical remote sensing satellite and increases the size of the Gaofen 9 constellation to 4 satellites. According to China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, the data, or images, collected by the satellites will be used for national land survey, urban planning, land rights confirmation, road network design, crop yield estimation, and disaster prevention. The Tsinghua Gravity and Atmospheric Science Satellite was developed by undergraduate and graduate students at Tsinghua University. ChinaNet Technology reports that it will measure gravity and atmospheric density in low orbit. Reminder, rocket launches are loud. There it goes. Those are just insulation tiles. This is inside the control room. And a little animation of what it would look like past the thing. And you can see the Gaofen satellite. Next up, SpaceX launched the 9th batch of version 1.0 Starlink satellites from Kennedy Space Center in Florida on August 7th at 5:12 a.m. UTC using a 5-time flight-proven first stage. A total of 59 satellites, 57 Starlinks and 2 Black Skies were launched over the course of a flight lasting more than 90 minutes, with a number of extended coast phases between second stage separation and engine firings. Normally, Starlinks are able to deploy without a second stage firing, but the passenger satellites needed a bit of extra help to circularize their orbit. Unlike the Starlinks, the Black Sky Sats have no primary propulsion system, which means they are not able to adjust their orbit. Black Sky satellites Global 7 and Global 8 each have a mass of about 55 kilograms and required a separate deployment mechanism. These two join 4 others already in orbit and are intended to be part of a 16-member constellation that is planned to be replaced every 3 years or so, using rideshare agreements like this one made for the launch. A full constellation of 16 satellites will allow hourly imagery of most major cities on Earth. Starlink satellites individually mass about 250 kilograms, that's 125 2-liter soda bottles. They're packed into the fairing like a deck of playing cards and are launched all at once by releasing a single tension rod that holds them in place. This compact setup is why 2 Black Sky satellites took up 3 Starlink slots, even though the combined mass of the Black Sky sats is less than a single Starlink. All of the Starlinks on this launch were visor sats, the newest Starlink configuration intended to decrease the reflectivity of the satellites. Previous Starlink satellites were brighter than expected, with magnitudes of up to 2.5 or brighter, before dropping to the 4th or 5th magnitude once at their operating altitudes. The controversy is that the eventual number of Starlinks in orbit is planned to be in the thousands to tens of thousands. And the existing Starlinks have already caused problems for astronomers, professional and amateur alike. Trains of bright Starlink satellites have affected data collection and deep sky astrophotography sessions by leaving streaks across the images. Early observations of the Beta VisorSat launched in early June of this year suggest that the VisorSats will be much dimmer, even before migrating to their final orbits at 550 kilometers altitude, which should mitigate many of the complaints from the observing community. The first stage was successfully recovered by the Of Course I Still Love You barge, which was the second time SpaceX has successfully landed a 5 times reused booster. Unfortunately, Ms. Tree and Ms. Chief were unable to catch the fairing halves in their nets, but they were recovered successfully from the ocean. And we have launch video. What you see is it's essentially water vapor venting from the rocket.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9,
The
8,
water
6,
noise suppression system.
5,
it
4,
came on
3,
in the background.
2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff.
M1D propulsion is nominal.
This was a late night launch at the launch site, so there really wasn't a whole lot to see. And it's not a SpaceX launch without a SpaceX landing. So it's a little brighter. Ta-da!
Wow, look at that stage 1 sitting on our drone ship. Of course, I will still love you. That was a beautiful view of the stage 1 as it came down there, lighting the clouds up.
All right. To wrap things up, here's a running tally of a few spaceflight statistics for the current year. We've burned up 3 toilets. No, excuse me. There are currently 3 toilets in space. We've only burned up 2 toilets in the atmosphere so far this year. Total satellites humans have put into orbit is 624. That includes those launched from other in-orbit craft such as the ISS, which means that 608 of those satellites were launched directly from rockets. There have been 62 launch attempts so far this year, including 7 failures. I keep track of orbital launches by where they launched from, also known as spaceport. Here's that breakdown. China, 22. USA, 20. Kazakhstan, 6. Japan, 3. Russia, 3. New Zealand, 3. French Guiana, 2. Iran, 2. And Israel, 1. Your useless space fact for the week comes to us from community member Brexit Denier, who shares that cosmic dust adds about 40,000 metric tons per year to Earth's mass. And that rounds out our show for today. Thank you all for listening, watching, however you're watching this. I have been your host, Annie Wilson. Today's script was written and edited by Dave Bullard, Gordon Dewis, Ali Pelfrey, and myself. Our web content will be produced by Beth Johnson. Our executive producer and fearless leader is Dr. Pamela Gay. The Daily Space is a product of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 dedicated to exploring our solar system and beyond. We are here thanks to the generous contributions of people just like you. The best way you can support us is through Patreon at patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. Like us, please share us. You never know whose life you can change by adding a daily dose of science.